everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloe. It's your unusual Friday, and we've got a lot to unpack for you tonight. So sit tight, everyone, and let's get started by letting you know what happened today at the appeal court, where the appeal court has set aside all orders restraining the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation from releasing funds to the Rivers State government. The three-member panel presided by Justice Ahmed Baraka held that the subject matter was not within the jurisdiction of the court relating to the revenue of the state, while allowing the appeal of the Rivers State government. The appellate court also set aside all the orders made by Justice Joyce Abdul Malik, stating that it was unconstitutional for her to make orders restricting Rivers State government to receive funds due to the state from its consolidated revenue fund. The appellate court held that the lower court overreached itself and did not have the jurisdiction to entertain the matter. So much to unpack tonight. First, we'll be touching base with the governor of Kaduna State. He was the one who read out the communique and letting the whole world know that all the 36 state governors have now sent in their proposition for state police, except maybe for the FCT. We'll understand why that has not coming. And I'll also be bringing in Mr. Femi Falana to give us the legal perspectives on the Rivers State legal tussle, so you understand what is happening. And at some point also, I will take you to Kwara State. You heard about Otoge in 2019. Something that swept, the political movement that swept away the political institution in Kwara State. Tonight's program promises to be an interesting one. But let's begin, everyone. First and foremost, I'm here to serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, has inaugurated the National Economic Council Ad Hoc Committee on National Electrification and NEC Ad Hoc Committee on Polio Eradication. At the inauguration at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, the Vice President said there is no way Nigeria can dream of a meaningful national economic development without addressing the power sector crisis and ensuring Nigerians have access to electricity and other affordable energy. The federal government in Abuja has granted bail to the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Bello, to the tune of 500 million naira. Justice Emeka Wite, who presided over the court session today, ordered that the former governor must produce two sureties in like sum. He said the two sureties must swear to an affidavit of means and must be owners of properties in Abuja. In addition, the title documents of the properties, which must be in Abuja, will be verified by the Deputy Chief Registrar of the court. And the Labour Party has gone to court over the defection of 6 members of the House of Representatives from the party to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Akangbe Ilia, who represents just south and just east of Plateau State, teamed up with the APC yesterday, adding to the number of House of Representative members who were elected under the Labour Party. The LP, in a statement by its spokesperson Obiora Ifo, described Ilia's defection to the APC as quite unfortunate and condemnable. Governor Umaru Bago of Niger State has presented 1.55 trillion naira as budget estimate for the 2025 fiscal year to the Niger State House of Assembly. Tagged Budget of Hope and Sustainability and Food Security, the budget represents a 48.3% increase compared to the 2024 appropriation. The governor emphasized that the budget will prioritize investment in agriculture and infrastructure. And former Governor Atahiru Bafarawa of Sokoto State has launched a youth movement to champion the development of northern Nigeria. Speaking at a maiden meeting of the movement in Kaduna, Mr. Bafarawa explained that the movement, known as the Northern Style Youth Empowerment Initiative, aims to rescue the youth from political marginalization, promote unity and socio-economic development in northern Nigeria. The co-chair of the group is a former member of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, Hajia Najaatu Mohammed. The executive director of Kimpact Development Initiative, Bukola Idowu, has called for the strengthening of enforcement mechanisms on election misconduct. He made the call during a press briefing to present KDI's assessment of the 2024 Ondo State off-cycle governorship elections on November 16 in Abuja. Idowu said there is need to establish mobile courts on election day to address vote buying, intimidation, and others. He noted that Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and Independent Corrupt Practices Commission should be empowered to collaborate more with INEC in monitoring and prosecuting electoral offences.
right, everyone, let's get started, shall we? It appears that the position on state police has been popularly affirmed by governors in the different states of the Federation. So yesterday, we saw the National Economic Council meeting, and we understand that all the 36 states have submitted their positions on state police matter, with a majority agreeing on the need for state-controlled policing. The governor of Kaduna State, Governor Ubasani, was the one who revealed this to State House correspondents after the 147th meeting of the National Economic Council at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja. Let me allow you to, remind you of what the governor of Kaduna State said yesterday.
Here that from what is available, virtually most of the states are in agreement with the establishment of state police in Nigeria. But today the council have decided to step down the discussion until the next council meeting, because we need to come up with a report from the secretariat. And after the report, there will be deliberation in the next meeting that is likely taking place in January. And many states are in agreement for the establishment of state police, considering the fact that virtually every state have their peculiarity in terms of the problem we're having of insecurity in our own states. And knowing fully that we have a lot of ungoverned space in Nigeria, and knowing fully also that we have a lot of deficit in terms of number of boots on ground, looking at the fact that a lot of security agencies, the police, the army, and other relevant security agencies have no personnel to cover all the ungoverned space.
I've got to join me now to speak more on what he said yesterday. That's just about 1 minute or so of what he said. And let's get some more expansive conversation on the matter. I'm being joined by the governor of Kaduna State, Senator Ubasani, who is live for us from Kaduna State. It's good to have you join us tonight. And thank you so much indeed, Your Excellency. For a lot of us who have followed the debate on the structure of our country, issues of security and how it should be handled at the local level and at the state level. Now, getting to the point where most of the state governors have now agreed to backing state police looks like a cherry news and something that will get a lot of us talking in the coming days. So let's understand. 36 state governors have submitted, or states have submitted their position, but we understand that the FCT hasn't. Bring us up to speed with the positions or what has happened in terms of the position and the submission of the federating units and the FCT.
Thank you very much for having me, Sean. Of course, yesterday at NEC meeting, that able to announce the position of the NEC. You could recall that the issue of state police was part of the conversation. At the level of NEC, I can say that we've been discussing the issue of state police in the last almost 4 to 5 months. And of course, within that time, states were given opportunities to submit their own position on the establishment of state police in Nigeria. And of course, as of last week, all the 36 states submitted their own position. And I can say that even before the submission, we had deliberation at the level of our meetings. And that was the reason why yesterday I made it clear that virtually all the 36 state governors made their submission, and we are all in agreement. I can say that for the establishment of state police, that was a position even before the submission, but the submission is clear. But of course, yesterday, we stepped down the conversation or the discussion on the issue of the state police simply because there was supposed to be a report from the secretary that will itemize and come up with the summary of the reports or the submission of the states. As you're aware that we made a separate submission because, like from Kaduna, we made a submission and we made it clear that we are in agreement with the submission of state police, but we also came up with ideas on how we will approach the establishment of state police in Nigeria. And of course, that was what happened. And I can say here, in the next meeting, we will certainly debate and discuss the issue elaborately.
So that is good news in the sense that There are those who have clamored and debated that the federative unit, just like we see in some other federal states in the globe, are also having to take control on policing in their territory. But what about the FCT? There are no positions submitted by the FCT. Is that deliberate, or is it that the FCT has delayed in submission?
Let me tell you this, maybe because you see a lot of people that were either supporting or opposing the state police establishment were a bit ignorant of the process. I'm happy in the studio there is a friend of mine, Chief Premier Falana, who's a lawyer and established a very prominent lawyer in Nigeria. Of course, the art of lawmaking is very clear. You see, the why the state governors are very important is simply because establishment of state police is beyond just discussion at the National Assembly level. Recall, in the 9th Senate, I sponsored the bill for the creation of state police in Nigeria. That was in the 9th Senate. But of course, it did not see the light of the day, simply because after a conversation at that level, we had a conference committee between the Senate and the House of Reps, and it did not survive the conference committee because we did the voting, because it has to go through a lot of processes. And of course, after the assembly came up with, there's a national assembly, of course, the state governors will have a role to play because it has to go to the state 36 state of the state assemblies of the 36 states. They must also have their own say. Establishment of state police means amendment of the constitution to create state police, because you have to also abolish the federal police post to create state police, and also look at the police service commission, that's the federal, and create state police service commission. So all this are the process of creating or establishment of state police. So the position of the state governors is very important, because when you're talking about the buy-in of the state assemblies, you don't have state assemblies at the level of FCT. That is a position people have to understand. Of course, so FCT do not make a submission, but what is more important are the state governments, where you have 36 state assemblies that will also have an input. We must have to thought of the 36 state assemblies to accept it or to have the buy-in of whatever position that came up from the National Assembly. So this is the process. Now it's a step forward, but the NEC alone cannot establish state police. It has to go back through the. And like I said, if you follow what's happening at the level of the National Assembly, just a month ago, the House of Reps started this conversation, and I can say that the House of Reps, majority of the members were in agreement, and that was the reason why they started the conversation. The Senate, I don't know whether they have started or not, but the 9th Assembly, we at the level of the Senate were in agreement, but we lost it at the level of conference committee. That was why it was not part of the bills that were taken for constitutional amendment at the state level. And of course, you will agree with me, some issues were raised, and that was the reason why some aspects of the constitution were amended. But the state police did not survive the conference committee. So that was the reason why we insisted that we have to know the position of every state, so that when the National Assembly come with their own position, it will be very, very easy for them to push it to the state assemblies. And the governors and the members of the state assembly will certainly have to agree, because we need to thought. That's the position.
All right. And I'd like to ask you pointed questions here as regarding the functionality of a state policing. In some places they call provincial, regional, whichever name that is being called. Now, it's been tagged state police, and there are several meanings or how the structure can work. Those who have debated against state police have had major two concerns. One being that the state governors might get to a point in time that they might use it against political opponent, and it might become a tool of political witch hunt. Now, secondly, there are those who believe that some of the states of the Federation are not financially viable. It means then that if you're setting up a state police, you have to worry about, clothing them in terms of uniform, equipping them in terms of weapons. You also give them logistics out of vehicles and moving around, and also sustaining and maintaining their offices. These are major debate. But I'd like to ask you a pointed question. As a governor that I've had one-on-one, and you've come face to face with security challenge in your state, give us an understanding how urgent or how functional a state police will be in helping you as a governor to govern your territory.
So let me first address your own concern, which is not a concern per se. Maybe it's a concern of a lot of people that I just mentioned. They're looking at this from political point of view. They don't want to look at it holistically. When I sponsored the bill for the creation of state police in the 9th Senate, I was in a governor. A lot of people came to me and said, governors will use it for their political gain, or maybe they will use it to abuse it by now using the state police against their opponents. But let me say this thing clear to you. Making law, because a lot of people, like I said again, they don't know the art of law making. You, at the level of constitutional amendment, we have responsibility, not we, the governors, but the people that will be involved in the lawmaking, or the stakeholders, the people that are experts that will be called during the public hearing at both the zonal level, at the National Assembly level, and at the state level, that will come together and agree on what the state police should be. When we're sponsoring the bill, I made it clear that in case of any conflict, the federal police force will take precedence, particularly on issues that have to do with politics. So when you do that, it happens in other countries. There are some developed societies, some countries that have police both at the federal and the state level. We must move on. We cannot sit down and be guessing what will happen. That is number one. Number two, when you look at this issue critically, talking about the funding, only 6 months ago, as a state governor, I bought 150 patrol vehicles for the federal security agencies. If I have state police, I will give them those 150 vehicles. It is from our budget. That is number one. Number two, when you look at some states, is it those that have a motokun or some governors at the level of northern states where they have vigilance services? Some have 7,000, some have 4,000. But the problem is, look, whether it is a motokun, whether it is a vigilance services in Katsina, whether in Kaduna, whether in Sokoto, let me tell you the limitation. You have to look at Firearms Act that we have in Nigeria today. It's also a constitutional issue. No vigilance service, no motokun in Nigeria will have the constitutional power to hold AK-47. Only president can give you license to hold AK-47. And when you send those people to go and confront the bandits, you know you are sending them to be killed. That is number one. Number two, when you have police, state police, you will have solved the problem of intelligence gathering and sharing, because most of those people are within the communities. They know the terrain, they know the area, and already they have constitutional responsibility to be able to hold firearms, to protect the community, to protect the people. And that is why we believe we need state police. And the third point I'm trying to make, look at the population of Nigeria. We have a population of about 230 million people. And the numbers we have in terms of personnel, the entire military in Nigeria, whether it's Air Force, Navy, and the Army put together, ask anyone that knows this, since they are not more than 250,000. If you look at the number of police we have in Nigeria, all the police personnel in the whole of Nigeria, the federal police, put all of them together, they are not 400,000. They are about 373,000. The last time I checked, about a few months ago. Put the two together, we have less than 650,000 security personnel, police and the military. And we're talking about a country of 230 million people. That is why we have a lot of ungoverned space in Nigeria. And when we're talking about addressing this problem, but we have so many problems because we have lack of boots on ground. We don't have the boots on ground, and we cannot cover those areas. That is the reason why some of us believe if we want to address this problem, there must be establishment of state police in Nigeria. So the issue of whether governors will use them against their opponents is something that can only happen if the National Assembly and those people that will craft this issue, the law or the act, gives the state police all the powers to do that. The art of lawmaking is when people sit down together and look at the advantages and disadvantages of some of the clauses. Look at it. That is the reason why a lot of people that always come out to talk about a process will always say it's simply because most of them are ignorant of the process, or maybe they want to use politics to just confuse Nigerians or make it difficult for some people to understand.
So, Governor Sani, if you have your way today, state police should have started yesterday. And you think that it can effectively help you police your state. Is that your position as a person? Because as a lawmaker, you pushed for it, but it never happened.
Look, if state police was created 3 years ago, when I sponsored that bill, today we would not have been having this kind of problems. Not only in Kano State, in many states in this country. But remember, when I sponsored the bill, some governors, particularly from the northern Nigeria, were opposed to it. Only the southern governors then were supporting the creation of state police. I remember vividly. But today I'm happy. Many governors are now in support because they know there is no way they can address the problem of insecurity in their own states except we all come together to support the establishment of state police. It's something some of us have really fought for this democracy, and we know we have to run our country as it's supposed to be. And the only way to do it is to allow most of these reforms to take place. It's very important. We cannot be living in fear simply because...
The worry, Governor Sani, is that if you have someone that you don't like his face, would you not use your own police if it's within your capacity to go after that kind of person? That is a worry. That's why some Nigerians fear that if this gets into the hand of governors, they might use it against a political opponent. How do you are you able to let Nigerians come to some kind of assurance that this may not be misused, since you have put together a bill like this before?
Let me tell you, I made it clear. Look, when you're putting a bill, I'm happy that institutional law. You see, when we decided to say let's sponsor this bill for the creation of state police, we made it clear. You can only abuse that if the people that crafted that law allows that to happen. You have to look at the law. And like I said, we made it clear at that time that state police should not be allowed to take a lot of responsibilities when it comes to issue of political activities. Where that happened, the federal police force should take precedence. That's what happened in other countries around the world. They should focus on crime prevention, crimes issues. That's what it's supposed to be. Political issues, you can limit their involvement. And that can only happen during the crafting of the law. That is the reason why that cannot happen except you look at it. All right.
Senator Sani, so quickly, so this debate will be postponed to January before you revisit it at NEC. Is that the situation?
Yes, the NEC will discuss it, but I can tell you there's not much. It's just discuss it and look at the popularity of every state, and I look at how we can be able to bring out the final report. But I don't think there's any major problem. But we debate at the NEC meeting. Then after that, certainly we need to also make submission to the National Assembly. That is a process. The National Assembly certainly will be the ones to now initiate this process. But ours is just our own submission, our position, but we have no powers to be the one to lead on this. It's the National Assembly that have to be the one to lead on the creation of state policy in Nigeria.
We look forward to how that will happen, but sincere thanks, Senator Ubasani, Governor of Kaduna State. Thank you so much for giving us more insight on the position of NEC and the governors in relation to state police. Thank you so much indeed, as always, for giving us time to talk to you.
Thank you for having me, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, I have two major issues to go, everyone, so stand by. I'll take you to the issue, a very naughty one, the appeal court today, where the court has set aside all the orders restraining the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation from releasing funds to the Rivers State government. It does look like a win for Governor Sim Fubara. This has been largely a political legal tussle. But then, what does this mean? Legally speaking, let's hear from Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, who is live for us from Accra in Ghana. Mr. Falana, give us an understanding. Legally speaking, what does this position of the federal of the appeal court mean?
Legally speaking, in the last 3 weeks or thereabout, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has upheld the local government election conducted by the Rivers State government on October 5 this year. It has also today upheld the position of the Rivers State government under Governor Fubara that the statutory allocations payable to Rivers State government cannot be the affairs of the Federal High Court. In other words, the decision of the Honorable Justice Abdul Malik directing the Accountant General of the Federation and the Central Bank of Nigeria to withhold the statutory allocations of Rivers State government has been quashed, vacated, and set aside by the Court of Appeal today, because those directives, those orders have been found to be legal and unconstitutional, because the statutory allocations of Rivers State or matters relating to the revenue of that state are internal affairs of the state. Only the state high court can hear and determine any dispute arising from them. In other words, the decision on the local government election, the decision of the Court of Appeal, which validated the local government election conducted by the Rivers State Electoral Commission, and the judgment of the Court of Appeal delivered today, which has set aside the decision that the funds, the statutory allocations of Rivers State persist, be confiscated. These two decisions are in line with the tenets of federalism outlined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Court of Appeal is saying, the fact that you join federal agencies or federal officers to a case that has to do with the revenue or local government elections or internal affairs of the state government cannot confer jurisdiction on the Federal High Court. I am convinced that both decisions delivered by the Court of Appeal will go a long way to reinforce the principles, basic tenets of federalism in the country.
But did the appeal court, did it about its mind to the fact that there are strong position being pushed at the trial court to say, look, the institution, the umpire, did not follow the due process that is set to conduct an election, which makes the process of that election, the procedure towards that election, invalid. The court of our is meant to that. That how can you go into the election without proper notices, without proper procedures? And those are fundamental to any electoral process, isn't it?
Notices were given. Those who did not participate in the election decided to go to court to truncate the democratic process. And by the way, a judgment was delivered by the Rivers State High Court, which endorsed the election and directed the Rivers State Electoral Commission to proceed with the election. Nobody Nobody has challenged the judgment of the state high court. Furthermore, following the election, the Rivers State government set up the Rivers State Local Government Election Tribunal. Petitions are pending before the tribunal. So it is not an affair of the Federal High Court. Assuming without conceding, Seun, that you are dissatisfied with the processes put in place by the Rivers State Electoral Commission, because it is a state affair, you have to approach the Rivers State High Court. The moment you rush to the Federal High Court, you have lost it. Because the Federal High Court lacks the jurisdiction by virtue of Section 251 of the Constitution to dabble into affairs of local government.
Let us see. Can you drag a federal institution that the law also recognizes that it can only appear before a federal court to a state court?
Seun, there is no such law. What the law is now saying is that what is important by the several decisions of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court is that it is the subject matter that is of crucial importance. It's not the personality or the nature of the agencies brought before the court. Once it is a local government affair, a local government election, whether you join the Inspector General of Police, the Director General of the State Security Service, that in itself does not confer jurisdiction on them. It is the same thing with the question of the revenue. Once you are talking of the revenue of a state, you cannot go to the Federal High Court because, again, under Section 251, the question of the statutory allocation of a state government is not mentioned there.
So, Mr. Falana, so the position of the appellate court today is a win for Governor Sim Fubara because it's largely a political matter. Now, it does look like the man can go ahead and start running the affairs of his state without having to look over his shoulder for any political opponent coming after him. Is that what it looks like now?
No, I don't want to go to the politics of it, but as far as the law is concerned, which is my own area, the Court of Appeal has today and 3 weeks ago upheld the principles of federalism by stating abundantly that the affairs of state government cannot be taken to the Federal High Court. It's only if you are challenging maybe the abuse of your fundamental rights that the Constitution, by virtue of Section 46, provides that you can approach either court. But when it comes to the revenue of a state government, local government elections conducted by the State Independent Electoral Commission, you cannot go to the Federal High Court. That is what the law is saying, and that is what has been pronounced upon by the Court of Appeal, in line with several decisions of the Supreme Court.
Mr. Falana, quickly, with what has happened today, what of the backlog, does this position of the court have a retroactive effect? It means that whatever that is backlogged that has not been disbursed to the state automatically will get it back. Is that what it means?
Once a judgment of the Court of Appeal has been delivered, everything done by the state, by the Federal High Court, in this case, have been set aside. All action, all orders made by the Federal High Court with respect to the local government elections conducted by the Rivers State Electoral Commission, with respect to the funds, statutory allocations of Rivers State government are hereby vacated.
Interesting. So we'll see how this comes out. I'm very sure that those on the other side of the divide might be looking forward to how they will appeal this or stay this particular position at the higher court. But Mr. Falana, let me bring you.
All parties are going to be advised to study the judgment very well and not waste their time and resources on pursuing any appeal.
In any case, the people of Rivers State are at the center of this, and they will be at the brunt if any further battle and dragging governance down. But quickly, before I allow you to go, Mr. Farhan, because I begged you to get this done, and thank you so much for allowing us to have a conversation with you. But quickly, you are an Ekiti man. One of the doyen of the legal industry, Chief Afeba Balola, has dragged Mr. Dele Farotimi, a very known right activist and lawyer, before the LPDC, dragged him before the court. And what is going on there? People would think that Chief Afeba Balola is your very good friend, maybe your very good senior brother. Maybe somehow you can prevail on him. Or what exactly are you coming in this matter? That's what Yoruba says, that when elders are in the market, you do not watch where the head of a child is turned the other way. What do you say to this matter, Mr. Falana?
Well, you know that I am always very reluctant to comment on matters that are pending in court. And as at the last count, there are about 5 cases that have arisen from the book written by Mr. Dele Farotimi before the matter went to court. I made a statement which had to do with decriminalization of free speech in Nigeria. But since the matter has gone to court, I cannot comment on it. When a young man, somebody recently wrote or made some comment that I consider defamatory, I went to court. I filed an action in the High Court, and I'm pursuing the matter. My son also filed a similar action in the High Court in Lagos State, in order to redeem our reputation, which the gentleman attempted to rubbish. And it's allowed in any civilized society. But again, I can tell you, this is not the first time a lawyer has been charged with criminal defamation in Nigeria. In 1988, Chief Fawemi came out of a court in Lagos, and the journalist asked him, Chief, what is your impression of what happened today? And Chief Fawemi, in his characteristic style, said, what I witnessed today is our Dakeri, Saku show. He was arrested and charged with criminal defamation on his birthday, April 22, 1988. He was charged before a magistrate court. Again, you can trust Gani. He went to the state high court to challenge the validity of the charge. That he didn't disclose any offense against him. He won the case. And one of the, and I can tell you this, right? Under the military, we're abducted. A lot of the time, we're arrested, abducted in the dead of the night, taken away. But now we are in a democracy where a court will issue a bench warrant for your arrest, it will be executed. At that time, you were just thrown away. We're not taken to court most of the time because we're detained under the State Security Detention of Persons Decree number 2 of 1984. But now, with democracy, if you are charged before the court, you have the right to assemble lawyer to defend you.
All right.
So on one occasion, we're charged with, we're told in the prison, we're taken out of Kuje prison, and we're deceived that we're taking you to the airport to go to Lagos, and the driver just made some maneuver. We ended up in the chief magistrate court in Gwagwalada. We're charged with treasonable felony. Who couldn't brief a lawyer? 5 for 4. So the late Chief Ganifa and me and myself had to defend ourselves and our colleagues. Treasonable felony. So that was what we went through in this
Mr. Falana,
but happily, now we're in the democracy. You are taken to court. Get your lawyer to defend you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Falana. I thought that
Thank you.
You will make it an Ekiti affair, and there will be a political solution to this matter. But thank you so much indeed.
I live in Lagos. I live in Lagos.
But you're an Ekiti man. You can't run away from that.
Thank you very much.
That's what your people will say. But thank you so much indeed, Mr. Femi Falana.
Thank you, my pleasure.
We're going to break, everyone, but when we return, I'll take you to Kwara. Otoge, if you thought that it has caused a damage politically to some political establishment, wait for it. There is another political movement that is brewing and is emerging in Kwara State. And I'll be speaking with a man who spearheaded Otoge and is spearheading another political movement in Kwara State. We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me take you to Kwara State and its politics. A new political movement has emerged in Kwara State. Anyone who remembers the impact of Otoge literally in English language, we interpret as enough. It's enough. It was a movement in Kwara State in 2019 which swept away the political movement. If you remember how quickly it swept away the major political stronghold. But a new one has emerged, and the formation of the Kwara Redemption Movement, KRM, is causing a stir. The government of the day says it is backed by failed politicians engaging in pull him down syndrome because of their frustration. The KRM was recently launched in Ilorin, the capital of the state, to challenge the political control of the ruling APC in the forthcoming election in the state. The movement is led by an APC chieftain, Honorable Yola Oyedepo. It says that the group was formed so as to move the state forward. Chief Yola Oyedepo is live with me right here in our Abuja studio. It's a pleasure having you join us tonight. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Are you still in the APC?
Very well. I'm a strong member of APC, Kwara.
It's perceived that you are an inside bad jobber. I mean, someone who causes trouble from the inside. And what is looking like, if you hear the reaction of the state government when you launched the movement in Kwara State, is that you are an insider who is aggrieved and frustrated. Are you frustrated as a politician?
No. I'm not frustrated. Instead, I just believe that as far as Kwara is concerned, we are not getting the best out of the present government.
So you think that the governor is not doing...
The governor...
Or your party is failing the people?
Our party is failing the people. And we have to arrest the situation so that it will not spell doom for APC in Kwara, especially in 2027.
So this is about 2027?
No, it is, because a political party must always remain focused and relevant. If we do not prepare for future, the future will come and meet us where we are. And at the end of the day, we are going to lose the state. So we are aware that the governor is not running the party and government very well.
I mean, how bad are things? Because the way you are describing things, it does look like you are describing as though the governor is absent. He won a re-election. There are those who are in the party who say he's doing his job as a governor. But what exactly do you, in terms of governance, where is it failing?
Well, in terms of governance, it's failing in 3 areas, which I will just mention. The first is in the running of the party, bringing the party members together, running an inclusive administration.
So politically, it's failing?
Politically, as far as the party politics and as far as APC is concerned, the governor is failing. There are so many people that helped the governor to get to where he is today. He wasn't the best. In fact, I can say categorically that he did not even win the primary.
Really?
Yes.
How did he get the ticket then?
Oh, well, it was an imposition.
By who?
By the party hierarchy that time. That was what happened.
At that time, there were the likes of Lai Mohammed, who were the party leader.
Yes.
Are you blaming the likes of Lai Mohammed and the rest?
I don't want to blame them per se, but I'm sure they are also regretting that this man is there.
Really?
Yes.
Are things that bad in Kwara?
It's so bad. People that helped him to be in that position were the first set of people to throw away. people like Lai Mohammed, Bob Bolaniwa, that is Masood Mustafa, Lukman Mustafa, the like of...
Senator Mustafa is no longer on the side?
No, Masood
Mustafa,
is different from Saliu.
Is it not Mustafa, the one that is complaining that his complex was demolished?
Yes, exactly. You see, that is part of what...
But this looks like personal issues.
It's not personal.
Personal political issues,
Look,
grouse that people are having, and the frustration out, maybe they're not being serviced politically. That's why you think that the government is not on your side.
It's not so. The governor, in any case, if we work together, what is bad in running an inclusive administration? There's nothing bad in that. An inclusive administration does not mean that you are taking money from the governor to satisfy your personal interest. It only means that it's also enforce others in arriving at decisions that will be very popular and move the party forward. So that one is not there. So if you see anybody fighting, it's not because of what he will give that he didn't give.
So why did the people of Kwara State, why did the people of Kwara State re-elect him? If according to you, is that bad of a governor? I mean, why did they re-elect him?
You see, the re-election was more of a national trend that people followed. Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu was coming in for the first time, and it was practically impossible to tell people to distinguish during the state election, governorship election, and that of the presidential.
So Bola Tinubu helped...
He helped him a lot to coast to victory. He helped him a lot. But for that bandwagon, he would not have won.
But you were one of the promoters of Otoge.
Yes.
Otoge, we understand, was a major factor that brought Abdurrahman in.
Exactly.
I mean, if you are now say Abdurrahman has failed as governor of Kwara State, how would the people of Kwara State believe you? You brought Otoge, now you are bringing KRM.
Well, you see, the people of Kwara even believes me, because the people of Kwara are full of pity for me. They pity me that I can work as much as I did, being in the trenches of the opposition for about 18 years. And at the end of the day, we were able to win in 2019. But everybody in Kwara know that I'm not part of the government. So why we not...
So you were sidelined?
Yes, completely.
The governor did not... No. You didn't have any of your person as commissioners?
Let me tell you, he has so much weakened the party to the extent that for the past 6 years, I cannot see many of those people have named being called to any political party meeting. And in fact, even after winning the election, he believes that he's the only one that matters in the scheme of things in Kwara.
So there are those who are saying Bukola Saraki, there's a resurgence of Bukola Saraki and his group in the political scheme of things. Is that true? Is it because of what is happening in the APC, or what exactly is going on?
Well, Bukola Saraki helps the PDP in Kwara. And you know that the people in opposition must take advantage of crisis within a ruling party. If the PDP is taking advantage of what is happening in our party, so be it.
So your party may not be able to win an election.
In the interest of the party, the party at the national level to look into this thing carefully and thoroughly.
But this is
the
chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum.
That doesn't have anything to do with us.
You don't think that performance is related to it? They would have elected a failure of a governor to lead them? Is that what you are saying?
Well, you know, it's an association of governors, and they can pick any of them. It doesn't have anything. I mean, people of Kwara State didn't elect him to be chairman of governors forum.
But if you look at the governor is a very calm guy. You know, it's a very, he goes about...
Saying that is deceitful. That is deceitful. You must judge a person by his output. What is his output at the party level? What is his output at the government level? What is his output when it comes to the taking care of the manifest real interest of the people of
You
Kwara
have
State.
spoken about political issues,
Yes.
but what is paramount here? Whether politicians are happy or not should be the least of our problem. We should be looking at the interests of the Kwara people.
Exactly.
In terms of governance,
Yes.
mention to me, take for example, in terms of the economy, as Abdurrahman failed. Give me an example where you think he has failed.
Before he came to governance or government, our state depended on statutory allocation, 80%. It still remains so today. So when you want to judge him on the improvement of economy, nil.
You think he has not improved on
He
IGR?
has not. IGR, you see, even if you have an increased IGR, what do you do with it? Because you are asking me about the interests of the people. If the IGR is increased and the people's suffering is increasing, then what is the meaning of the increased IGR?
People are really suffering.
We are suffering. People are suffering. Okay, let me now talk about the real needs of the people of Kwara State. Of course, part of the real needs of people of Kwara State will be food through agriculture, will be education, which must be massive and qualitative. There should also be health, which will not allow people to take to medical tourism. All those things are not in place in Kwara State. For example, when you look at Niger State, our neighbor there, you will discover that within a span of about 3, 4, 5 months, that the governor of Niger became, the governor in 2023, he bought more than 1,000 tractors. For now 6 years, for almost 6 years that our governor has been there, what has he done to improve the conditions of farmers who are clearly in the majority in Kwara? In fact,
Recently, Chivo Yedepo,
yes,
there are 3 million technical people in tech that the governor empowered. In terms of empowerment, in terms of improving the lives of the average person, the governor will say he has pushed a lot of money to the average, in the hands of the average person, to empower their small businesses.
You see, when he claims to have done that, what we should look for is the meaning of it on the ground. I'm still saying today that there is mass unemployment in Kwara. And all things you ought to have done that will solve this type of problem are neglected. And what we know of the administration is misplaced priorities. When people are crying for food, you are renovating a Kwara hotel with about 20 billion naira.
I thought that that project was stalled.
Well, I don't know, but people appeal to him. He hasn't told us that he has, the program.
What about that flyover from Tanker towards the University of Ilorin?
Yes, it's there.
Has that been completed now?
It has.
Because there were a lot of criticism as to the money spent and the reasons behind that.
We don't even know the amount of money spent on it. Even the one from A division to around the Challenge, there is no. It's not.
So governance is opaque.
Yes, his contracts are not one that are subjected to the process.
APC as a party in Kwara State have failed the people of Kwara State.
Well,
and you are a leader.
I'm a leader.
You are the auto get promoter.
Yes.
So you people failed the Kwara people.
That is through the governor. But the party can still stand. The party can stand because if it is not a question of the governor being the leader of the party and is the only one that they can listen to at the top, then the governor is an individual.
So where do we go from? We need to wrap up. What do you intend to do with KRM?
KRM, Otoge was an assumption. It was built on assumption. The assumption was that if we have one of us to be the governor of Kwara, then that man will know what was Otoge, what was enough, and he will do the most appropriate thing. But he didn't do it. That is why we have formed what we call KRM, Kwara Redemption Movement. This one is more formed, and it will have it has a document that will capture the interest of the people of Kwara State.
All right.
It's not the type of thing that is being done haphazardly, or maybe people just waking up one day and we'll be sealing up people's shop by building concrete fences or even demolishing houses without court order. Those things, that is not the type of government we really need.
Chifu Yolo Yedepo, who is a promoter of the KRM in Kwara State and a member or chieftain of the APC in Kwara State. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.